Did I go too far on my revenge? Well, sure, I went through a lot of suffering, but who am I to play God and punish the people just because I think they deserve it? Nah. This is Book Club, where we mostly have spoiler-free conversations about books that I read while I'm almost asleep, in a quest to make my sleep schedule a bit better. As always, drop your suggestions in the comments, and let's get to it. Today we have... Do I look ecstatic? I really have no words for this book. Sorry, I was just doing the thumbnail work right away. So, for today we have the 2 volumes of the Count of Monte Cristo. I don't know if they're always in 2 volumes. I got the Portuguese edition, so it was 2 volumes. On the first one we have here a castle, which may or may not be a castle. I'm not gonna spoil that to you. And on the second one we got a nice portrait of a what appears to be a count. This guy, we can see that he has some very appealing look. We can see that he's rocking the Justin Bieber haircut, probably to hide his baldness. He also has this beard, which I'm just not gonna comment on. I think it's skippable. The outfit, as you can see, the color is a bit douchey, but we'll let that slide. I think this fine gentleman must have a reason for that. He looks expensive, he looks sharp. I think for the 18th century, or 19th century, I would say, he looks quite okay. We have some green tea here. Okay, let's cut the crap. I learned about this book, like everybody else, on YouTube, because it's 2026 and that's how we learn about stuff. So history got replaced by AI telling us everything, and also, you know, we're chronically online, so... I cannot say I'm chronically online. I mean, I read this thing. I don't know if you see the thickness, but it's like 1100 pages. This is a sizable romance. I think it's romance, the right word for it. It runs over 2 volumes. It's more than 1000 pages, but I can guarantee you, you will not care about the volumes. You will be sad when it's gone. And honestly, just buy both right away because you'll read them. The book is just, I mean, I have no words. This for me is a masterpiece. It's a 10 out of 10. It's got everything. It's incredibly well written, not because it uses a lot of complicated words. I mean, I wouldn't know because I haven't read the French version. Mon French, c'est pas très bon. I think that's all I can say about French. Of course, I say some cursed words, but I'll keep those out for the video. And yeah, it doesn't have many complicated words. It's a good read. It's okay-ish in terms of understandability. The author does something that I really enjoy. It kind of plays with your mind a bit. It doesn't give you away all the relationships and all the nuances of the story. It kind of keeps telling you, and you deduce it because it's... Let me adjust the mic real quick. You deduce it because it's kind of, you know, start reading out and you say, this must be related to this fact, that, and the other one. You know, just the brain acting while you're reading, which is, I think, one of the best parts, or kind of the whole point of reading. And it does that in a way where you kind of deduce it, but it doesn't give you like the full picture. It doesn't tell you. And then at some point it tells you, and I'm like, I knew. I think that's quite satisfying. That's one of the best moments while reading, and you get that a lot in this book, and I think that's a nice touch. Over the 1100 pages, I can tell you that I was only bored for like 1 or 2 chapters, which was acceptable. This is gonna get cold. God damn, I'm sad about it. I only got bored about 2 chapters because it was like, or better yet, and it's acceptable because it was a small transition of timelines. You know, there is a time when something happens, then there is this big event, and the microphone keeps bugging me. Then there is the time where this other event happens, and you kind of have a time transition between both things, like a few years. I think 3 years. My calculations was like 3 years, maybe a bit more. I think I butchered that one. I think it's way more than 3 years, like probably 10 or 11, but who cares? The book runs over 24 years time period, which, without spoiling too much, it's like without spoiling too much, it's basically set in the 18th century, deep within the French Revolution, where there was this great divide between the Republic of France and the, should I say republic or monarchy? Oh god, I think it's more of a monarchy. And the imperialism from the little guy with the 1.64 centimeters that we all know as the dude who tried to go to France the first time, to Russia the first time, and also surrendered in Waterloo, which is Belgium, if you don't know. Yeah, basically in terms of locations, the book spans about 2 interesting parts of Europe, some islands, some countries, especially, well, we have a lot of references to Corsica, which is where this little dude with imperial ambitions was at, and it also has a few islands. For example, there is, just quickly checking my notes, Elba, which appears in the beginning, then it kind of dies down a bit. We have, of course, the island of Monte Cristo, and yes, I did fact check it, it actually exists, and it's a part of Italy. And this gets to me into an interesting part of the offer, which I'll get to in a second. But basically, if you want to know a bit more about the island of Monte Cristo, you can visit it, but only via private boat and with the Carabinieri Forestali. Oh, I got that right. Yes. Make sure you park well or else you'll get fines. I'm kidding, you don't have cars there, so the real Carabinieri, they're not gonna send you a fine throughout Europe to your home the year after you've ended your stay, which is quite common in Italy. Everybody I know got at least 2 fines. It's sad, but I also got them. And you can only visit the island of Monte Cristo between March 1st and April 15th. Today is April 14th, which means I have about 1 day. I'm kidding, I think we need to do this the right way. Let's organize things. When we get to 100k subs, we'll plan a whole excursion because we can walk there. There is a way to hike there. It's definitely not an easy hike, and if you read the book you know why, but it's something we should consider. It's quite a good plan. And yes, the cave is there. And no, there's no treasure. Because I have confirmed this on Google Maps with Giorgio Olivotto, which got a 1-star review. But there is another review, which is only one of the 2 reviews that are there, which was the first one, that has a 5 stars and no comments. So I guess somebody got rich off of the island. I should have read the book sooner. That's all I gotta say. And there's also a guy on Reddit who did like the whole map of the locations in the book. I don't think that's 100% accurate. I feel like there are some mentions of India, but it's not a lot. So anyway, it's not the only one, I guess. There's just a lot of people with tons of free time like me. I think you're also from the same category, right? Otherwise, why are you even watching this video? But anyway, let's talk a bit about the author just to finish things off. So here's Alexandre Dumas, which you probably know from being in the French Pantheon. At least that's how I heard about him. I know. I probably should have mentioned that he wrote The Three Musketeers or The Count of Monte Cristo, which we have, I don't know, right here, and this is the whole topic of the video. But yeah, is in the French Pantheon along with the likes of Voltaire, Rousseau, Marie Curie, of course, that one lined in the 2.5mm thick lead coffin because radioactivity. But don't worry, we have come a long way in nuclear. Just don't tell that to Japan. Oh god. But yeah, if you don't know half of these names, it's quite normal. I actually didn't know them all, or almost any of them, and got roasted aggressively by my girlfriend in 2023 when we visited it. I can only remember the judgment on her face. I don't wish that to anyone. Just because I didn't know Rousseau, Voltaire, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the guy who I think wrote The Little Prince. I don't know how it's called in English or whatever. But yeah, Dumas also wrote the Robin Hood, which you probably know, and many more. Also code for, I don't know the rest of his work. And don't confuse him with his son because he has the same name. I don't know why people do that. They've been doing that since Neymar. Oh wait, Neymar is from the 21st century, 20th. Yeah, forget what I said. I keep digging myself down a hole while I talk. It's incredible. But yeah, one interesting thing about him, and I think this is good enough to finish things off, is he hired ghostwriters to do some of his work. So parts of this book may not have actually been written by him, which explains the verbose because 1100 pages, man. God damn. Okay, the book is great. I don't digress. 1100 pages is completely worth it over 2 volumes. It's just an overall great story about, this is the part where I shouldn't spoil too much. So let me think about it. I mean, I kind of said what I wanted about the book. So it's a story about revenge. It's a story about superation, patience, and hope. I think that it kind of sums things off without spoiling too much of the story. I think it doesn't spoil too much of the story or any of it, which is great. That's the whole goal of this. But it's historically accurate. Like from the mentions of the French Revolution, from the islands, from, I mean, almost every other fact in the book. There's just way too many mentions about other work, like from other authors and things like that. I could not be bothered. I don't know half of them. My culture is like, I mean, it's 0.1 because I've read this. I mean, another book. But yeah, I'm quite limited on that. But I think it's cool that he hired ghostwriters. And basically his sole purpose for hiring ghostwriters, as far as I understood, was to have historically accurate references and things like that, which I think add a bit more depth to the book, and I think that's great. And that helped him to focus on character development and story development, which I think are like probably the key aspects of the book, and it just shines through, man. I think it was great. And these details, they are secondary to the plot, even though they add like a good depthness. It feels like you're learning more than just, you know, the lessons that the books provide in this way. And I think we can take some notes about this and what we have today with AI. We can just parallelize and say, you focus on the essentials and you let the AI handle the rest. Maybe that's a good philosophy for the times that we are in. Yeah, and really got me thinking. And I think that's that's all I have to say. We all love a good revenge story, especially when it's served in two batches, because there's like batch 1 and batch 2. And in real life, it can go too far sometimes, just like in the book. And I don't think he tries to be a bad guy or anything, because he does some great deeds. I think he's more of an anti-hero to this story. And the last thing I want to add about this book, which I think is a great lesson, is no matter how bad things are, there's always a chance that they're gonna get better. And also, oh, I have one other one, because as with real life, when you do a good deed to someone, it's also likely that they're gonna throw that away. That the book nailed right on. So if people give you opportunities, just don't take them all as shit, you know, just try to make something of it. I think that was what I took from the book. Yeah, so always be patient, always be hopeful, just like the next video that I'm gonna throw on, which be patient about that. Maybe it takes more than a week. I cannot promise anything. So see you next time. Leave a comment if you have a book suggestion, and subscribe.